we started, or I started, to think about the symbolism in the card. And in the card, quite clearly, in the Judgment card, just so we're all on the same page, the Judgment card, there is an angel, there is a horn, there are people kind of embracing whatever the angel's offering. And there's quite obviously like a transition between persons, and then ultimately it almost seems like a child in the center. So why don't we start with the horn? What do you guys think the horn represents?
Like announcing judgment time.
Okay. So announcement, good. What else do horns do, like in general? A horn?
A horn. I'm talking about. You talking about horns like on something's head? I'm just thinking.
No, like a
I'm trying to find the card.
Let me say trumpet. There.
Oh, a trumpet. Okay.
Not like a horn on a bull, but a trumpet. Oh. Yeah.
Sorry, I haven't found the card yet.
What do they do? Make noise. Yeah. Sound. That's it. That's the word I was looking for. Sound. And then certain like patterns, rhythmic patterns, can convey like messages, right? So if we hear dun, 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 what do we think of? Charge, right? Okay. So we can say that there's sound, noise, like rhythmic pattern. Good. What else?
Isn't a horn used to announce something or trumpeted something?
Announcement. Yes. Good. An announcement. Yeah.
I'm just thinking about like the angels. They always talk about them trumpeting announcements.
Yeah. Good. So actually, and when I tell you this, it's going to make more sense. So the archangel in this card is the archangel of Gabriel. And what's that angel known for? Announcement. Right. It's the angel that brought the message to Mary saying like, hey, Jesus is going to come soon. And then it was also the angel that gave, I need to say supposedly, like before I make these statements, because these are all just stories that could be history but could not be history. Supposedly it was the angel that gave Mary the message, and then supposedly it's the angel that Muhammad talked to and like conveyed the Quran. Supposedly Muhammad was like he claimed that the archangel Gabriel basically channeled to him the Quran, which is supposedly like the last book of the Bible. But yeah, so it's the angel of messages. So obviously we're dealing with like messages, noise, and with these things also comes awareness. Like when we hear something, we become aware of that thing's presence. Awesome. So in the card, we also have what? What's on the bottom? The people, yeah. So what's the what's the ways that the people are like positioned? They're looking up. Uh-huh.
Could they be worshiping being angel?
They could be. They could be. That's definitely kind of the way that it looks. What does this look like? Like embracing, maybe? Yeah, like for sure embrace. Yeah. And there's different ways. We have the masculine figure kind of like this, right? The child's kind of like this. How does the female look? Oh, okay. So the female's like this. The man's like this. Okay. Uh-huh. That's right. That's right.
That's where they're like mirroring the other ones in the front.
Oh, they are?
Well, there's like, it appears to me like it's like the female figures are on the right and then the children are in the middle. And then depending on the deck,
rising, they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they look like graves.
Yeah,
They're gray,
jumping
like a
out of
grayish
their caskets.
Well, they're coming out of the crypts,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
depending on your death.
Yeah, depending on the deck. Yeah, a lot of interpretations say that they're like coming out of graves. And it really looks like that it's some type of awakening though. Yeah, it's some type of awakening. And when we think about the word judgment, what does that word kind of insinuate? Critical. Assessing. I like that word. That's a really great word that's connected with judgment. What do you guys think? Yeah? Okay, cool. So let's talk about the relationship between the man and the woman, and then I'll kind of tell you what I ultimately think this card might mean. So we have a child in the center, and we have a man and a woman. So obviously it's like suggesting like generational, like a generational connection of some sort. Why would that be? So we have noise, we have announcement, assessment, maybe some decision. And then we have generations, sound. What do you guys think this means? It's like all pointing to something. It's all suggesting something.
It's like up to you to awaken to the generational cycles.
Good. That's exactly it. That is exactly it. So that's what this card means. And we can actually break it down scholastically. So there's this idea in collegiate works that all knowledge is built off of. All knowledge is built off of. And we could even see this religiously, spiritually, that there's this perpetual change and building that happens that is passed through generations through sound. Through sound. So the word of mouth is what passes this through. And the reason that this relates to fire is because these things have a will of their own, and they're driving through the life force of man. Through words and communication.
Like the ideas you're saying?
The ideas. And interestingly enough, for those of you that know a little bit about the Kabbalistic tree, this card sits in between the sphere of Mercury and Earth. And Mercury is the being or the force of intellect. So it has to do with how the mind relates to matter. And Mercury also has to do with communication. So quite clearly we have a card here that depicts the relationship of how information is perpetually passed through generations to awaken ourselves. Yes. Yeah, it is. It's pretty powerful stuff. Very powerful.
And they're in the water, and there's what behind them, clouds?
Clouds. Yeah, so let's talk about the water for a second. So the water in the tarot is considered like the waters of consciousness. Why would they be kind of cemented or concrete in the waters of consciousness and then kind of like awakening?
Like she said, they're probably dead and rising.
Yeah, but like maybe symbolically asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, like symbolically asleep, and then they kind of like spiritually arise more into like this like outer awareness of their, closed in. Right.
They become aware.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Exactly. So we talked a lot about the people. We talked a lot about the angel. Well, not a lot, somewhat. Why don't we talk about the boxes that they're in? What do you guys think the boxes represent?
coffin, but just it could be our limited thinking, like that they think outside the box. So this is the box of what they think they can operate within.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Stepping outside. They get this realization. They realize it's
Exactly. Exactly. So kind of like a closed-in thought. It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting too because the boxes are dark. They're not bright. They're like dark things. It's like, okay, we're in the darkness. If we're going to stay recessed inside this box, then we're going to come out and be awakened. We're going to come to the light. We're going to listen to the messages. What's also really cool is that this card also shows that the child kind of is like the bearing thing that carries these things on, right? Because the child is the central figure to the angel. It's not the mother and the father or the masculine and feminine principle. It's that center being, which is young. So it's also through the young that these generational teachings are carried.
And again, the other cards, they're naked, so that's like an innocence.
Innocence. It could also represent like transparency. To be transparent. Innocence, good. What else do you think the nakedness would represent? New life, yeah. Good. That would line up with this pretty well. That's good.
Innocence.
Innocence, yep. Oh yeah, I like that. I like that. Maybe kind of like getting back to like what our natural selves are, possibly, you know? It's like very reborn, yep. I feel like every time we learn something new, we're kind of like going through that rebirthing process.
some people think judgment card. One of the meanings is guilt.
Uh-huh.
Being found guilty.
Yeah.
People are sitting there before judgment,
Uh-huh.
being found innocent, born again.
Have you guys ever learned something new and then felt guilty you thought otherwise before? Like you think one way and then somebody tells you something and you kind of feel guilty that you were thinking that first way.
It's an assumption about someone else.
Right, that's what I was going to say.
Well, yeah.
Only if I'm thinking like that person, and then
Yeah.
if I think that,
assumptions about other people for sure.
Well, it's like,
and then you find out, oh, well,
You hear the real story.
yeah.
right. And you kind of feel a little bad. You're like, oh, I didn't.
Oh, I didn't like this person before, but I didn't get the real truth.
Right.
So now I know.
Yeah, but I mean, if I think when you said it was like, well, if I didn't know something before, like there was more of a with content, it'll be better than something new.
Yeah.
But I think more in interpersonal relationships.
Yeah. But it's happened, right? Like you learn something new and you're like, oh man, I was in the dark about that. So it's like through the method of sound, we kind of awaken to something new. Yeah.
You change your perception. Perception is reality or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Perspective.
Right. Kind of going back to that like generational knowledge building. We even see it in religion too. So like there's all these new interpretations of like the Bible or like all these new interpretations of say you want to like look at the Old Testament. So it's like that generational building of knowledge. What do you guys think about this? Like I've been talking a lot the past 15, 20, 10, 15 minutes. What do you guys think? How do you guys feel about this?
What about the red flag? What's that about? Just coming
Oh.
out of the horn.
Oh, I think that's one of the Christian concepts. With the Maltese.
But it doesn't have any significance really.
There's a lot of actually early Christian symbolism.
Mm-hmm.
Crosses short of tarot.
Oh yeah.
A lot. I mean, that's Gabriel.
Yes, exactly. There is a lot of Christian symbolism in the tarot.
I find that ironic because a lot of Christian belief condemns the tarot.
Mm-hmm.
if they ever looked at a tarot deck, they'd see all this Christian symbolism, which is kind of interesting.
I agree. I think it's more compatible with the Bible than
This card
a lot
here,
of
Hierophant,
Hierophant.
which actually used to be called the Pope,
Mm-hmm.
and they changed it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they changed it. Oh, I know, in England, because Pamela Smith Coleman,
Mm-hmm.
British, they don't like calling things the Pope,
Mm-hmm.
Church of England. So she changed it to the Hierophant, which just means spiritual leader.
Mm-hmm.
That was Pope.
I feel like that kind of matches more of the time frame we're in right now anyway. Because you could be like a spiritual leader but not be a pope, right?
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
that's why she changed it, because they were Protestant. Well, they're technically not Protestant, but they weren't Roman Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
So she changed it. But there's all this Christian symbolism, and yet a lot of Christianity,
Condemns it.
You're not supposed to be looking at tarot cards.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very, very compatible though with the teachings.
It's kind of funny,
Uh-huh. Good. Yes.
That cross is the Greek cross.
The Greek cross. Okay.
Which is a little bit
Interesting.
earlier.
I always got the sense it was a little bit of the cross of the Crusades.
Yup.
The way he's holding it up, the banner.
Yup. That's good.
This says what we are saying, but it says the angel blows the trumpet while people emerge from caskets, replacing as they read the call. Heed the call, okay, and they're heeding the call from their caskets.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that goes back also to Christianity. That's the redemption, that's rising up after you die and going up to heaven.
So let's talk about this cross for a minute because we kind of seem to be pretty honed in on it.
Judgment Day.
Well, then I think that at least Orthodox is very strongly
Christianity.
Judgment
You rise up and
judgment
you
and
go up to
that's a
judgment
big
day.
part of it. I have a client who's Greek Orthodox. Pretty intense about that.
All right, so we established that it represents something Christian. What if I told you it kind of also represents the four elements?
I was thinking, yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So the elements also communicate to us too. And this card is called the Perpetual Intelligence. And it's described as the relationship between the sun and the moon. And if you think about this esoterically, the sun and the moon are...
Is that why it's right after the sun and the moon?
Yes.
Oh.
The perpetual intelligence. And it said that this is the force that keeps the dualities kind of mixing and melding and everything kind of, coming in between and in work. So it kind of makes sense that this could represent the elements. The cross also sometimes is representative of like restriction too. I had a really good, like our realizations have a certain point of being able to like communicate to another person. And it's like through the knowledge that we gain from others and our intuition and the way that our intuition works with our mind, it can bring us up to a certain point, and then it's kind of like restricted. Like you only can know things up to a certain level, and it's kind of like up to the next generation to kind of pick that up. So there's like that level of restriction to knowledge at the same time, or like voicing that knowledge to like other people. What do you guys think? I want to hear from you guys.
Just interesting. Pretty much with every class, it's like I have a preconceived idea of what the cards mean, but then when we talk about it, it seems so minuscule and superficial compared to what you're saying. Because I always just thought of it as like individual, like awakening or like bringing things like shadows to light.
Mm-hmm.
but it's more like macrocosmic and intergenerational. I think it still applies to how I thought the card would read, but it's just taking it to another level.
That's okay. Thank you. That's a compliment. I appreciate it.
Well, it's especially when you said that the card also meant like perpetual intelligence. I was like, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Yep.
That makes sense with what everything else you were saying.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I think we already said this in a way, but spiritual awakeness or spiritual awareness.
Yeah.
And that's-
I keep wanting to ask you guys this question, but it's such an evil question.
Go for it.
Would you know Jesus existed unless somebody told you?
I wouldn't even know if I existed unless.
Would you know Buddha existed unless somebody told you? No.
There is a higher power
You don't
though.
know anything unless somebody told you.
Exactly.
But I do know there is a higher power, and I do feel it and all that stuff.
Right.
Nobody told me what it was, and I just know without, instinctively, I just know of it.
Oh, for sure.
If nobody told me what it was, I would assume it's something, Buddha, John, what's his name, Mormon, I wouldn't know.
Yeah. So I think Thomas Aquinas, not only was he a very famous Christian, but he was also a very famous philosopher, and he spent a lot of his time trying to prove God existed without using the Bible. And I don't know, I've listened to the arguments and I'm like, okay, that's plausible. Like, I'm like, okay, this sounds very like sound. I forgot what exactly he said, but when I initially listened to it, I was like, okay, that makes sense. But you also could do like the regression. We're like, okay, if this comes from that, if these two little birds, had eggs, but you just did the regression, then it would all kind of lead back to something. So you could also prove it that way. Like, well, everything must come from somewhere. And at a certain point, you'd just be like, well, you can't regress any further, and that must just be what God is, or
Really?
the higher power or something.
You really want to freak yourself out. I did used to do this, and I had to stop because it was making me crazy. To sit and try to imagine, like going backwards and try to imagine where there was nothing, like in the beginning where there was nothing, and trying to imagine void where nothing is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like mind bending. It's just, it drove me nuts. How do you imagine what was there? Like we talk about the stories about the Big Bang or whatever you want to call it, but what was there before?
Well, you don't know.
I know. And trying to imagine or trying to think about it, it drove me crazy. I had to stop.
I mean, I have what I think. I could
What?
tell you. You want to know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear.
I think it's just an infinite amount of universes, like before this. So like there's this new idea in physics, and it's becoming more and more plausible. It's not the Big Bang, it's the Big Bend. So actually we're just in the bottom of a black hole. And so that black hole that we're in the bottom of, it's just in another universe. And then that universe is in a black hole, and it's just like continuum, an infinite continuum.
But what was there before the black hole?
That's what I'm saying. Our universe, which is in the bottom of a black hole, is just in another universe. So it's just, imagine just like an infinite amount to where there's no first universe. It's just like,
No end.
there's no beginning and no end. So all the black holes that are in our universe, it's just another universe. Isn't that really crazy to think about?
I'll have to sit and think about that one.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. Yep. Yeah, the Big Bend.
I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, it's becoming more famous by I don't want to say by the day, but probably by the year. It's like more plausible. Yeah. I know. The more I think about it too, it kind of makes sense because it's like if something goes inside a black hole, like they know that the matter still exists, but they don't know where it goes. But like, what if it just goes into another universe?
Aliens are involved, I'm sure.
It's pretty wild to think about. So if that's true, then that means we're literally living in infinity. Like right now, in this second.
We die. We die.
Well, yeah, we're finite,
Right.
but like we're experiencing infinity. Yeah, pretty wild to think about. Pretty wild to think about.
And that's where the aliens come. They say they come from the ocean, and they come up, or they probably come from black holes and do stuff. You know, they come from somewhere. They're involved in all this.
Yeah. The aliens? Maybe those are little spaceships in the card. Those little, squares. They're little spaceships, I'm just kidding.
Talking about that though. I just know. I always think of aliens.
Okay, so we really digressed here, but so it could be the 4 elements. It could be the cross. So if it is Christianity, it could like represent like the Christ awakening force too. And then everybody's kind of awake out of their tombs, right? When I say these Christ awakening forces or God, those are just words that I use for like the thing behind the word. So I'm actually referring to the concept. I'm not referring to like a very strict Christian God or a very strict Christ to Christianity. I'm referring to the thing behind it, which is the Christ force or the God force or the creation force. I'm just using those words to point to what I'm trying to communicate.
What is the God particle? Doesn't that fall in there somewhere?
I don't know about that
I'm
one.
look it up somewhere. That has something to do with something too.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the number 20?
Yeah, we can. I like numbers. X, X. So X, Roman numeral for 10. So which card is
Wheel of Fortune.
Wheel of Fortune? Good.
Damn, she's good. No, I just looked back at my notes.
Okay.
What's the connection?
Impressive.
So what do wheels do?
Spin.
Spin, turn. There's a
Go
top and a bottom. They go round. The Wheel of Fortune is makes a lot of sense for this card. Like everything that we've talked about, like generations, round and round, right? Okay, good. And then we also have 20 itself. And if we break the numbers down, what cards do we have? Yes, good. So here's the Fool.
Yeah.
And then what's this one? Yeah, High Priestess. So if we think about, I want to talk about High Priestess first. Very cool card, one of my favorite cards. What does she have in her hands?
The scroll.
The scroll. And what do? You write things down so other people can read it. Yes.
And the Fool's like the child, like passing it to the children.
Uh-huh. And the Fool sometimes is considered like super consciousness. Oh, you're good.
Maybe take my I'm gonna get back.
Oh, okay, you're good. Yeah. I totally get it. So High Priestess, writing things down. Yeah, you're fine. Gotcha, yep. It's like that around here. I just tromped on through, but yeah, so writing things down. High Priestess is also like subconscious force. So like
Right.
automatic processing stuff that I was talking about a few weeks ago. Remember how I said things just automatically happen with the moon card?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the moon rules or is the planetary force in the High Priestess.
Right.
Yeah. I'm just trying to make all these quick connections for you. And if it means something to you, it's fine. If it doesn't, it's okay. All right. Any last things? Because we got to get to meditation, and then we're going to do readings tonight. We're going to do a lot of readings. Yeah, I want to do like 30 minutes of readings today. Okay. Any last thoughts? We talked a lot. We talked about a lot with this card. I feel like I talked a lot. That's all right.
If you're reading, giving someone a reading and you draw this card,
Oh, yeah.
what would you give that to them as a reading?
What's the question?
Okay, you're giving me a reading. I draw this card, and what advice would you give me from it based on?
What's the question?
What's your question?
Like, what's the question?
I'm trying to think now. Okay, I'm having trouble with my neighbor. I can't understand them, and they don't understand me, and I've given up or something like that. And so then I draw this card.
I think I would say, how do you remember your parents dealing with problems with their neighbors? I would say, like, how do you see various adults that you remember from your childhood dealing with neighbors? Because it has to do with generational, communication, right? And at that point, the answer they would hold. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I guess.
Yeah.
My parents and their neighbors were not always a good example.
Okay. Well, there you go. That makes sense why it would be a issue then. Okay.
I have great neighbors anyway. But so it would be like, how would you work into it though that you need to be more spiritually aware, or you're changing?
You could also do it this way. You could also look at the card this way. Listen to what your neighbors are saying, and maybe it's giving you a new perspective. Maybe it's awakening you to a new way of how to look at what's going on, right? So we're going to use the horn, sound, listening, communication, and then awakening. Oh, it's going to bring me to a new realization of what my neighbor is thinking.
Okay.
So you just add the symbols together into what makes sense in that moment.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And like I always say, in a reading, you might feel really drawn to like, oh, the flag. Wow, I'm really getting a hit on the flag right now. So really just dig deep into like this flag symbolism. You don't have to explain anything else in the card. You can even be like, you see this flag right here? All right, this represents X in your situation, and then explain to them why.
That's a good,
Yeah, you don't have to look at anything else in the card. Just point to the one symbol and be like, I'm really drawn to this. Right? Okay, let's do one more and then we'll do meditation. One more example. So somebody comes in for a reading and they ask X question. What's the question? Should you take a new job? That's a hard one. No, it's okay. Should they take the new job? What do you guys think? I feel like that's a yes or no answer. Is this a yes card or a no card?
You want to get some like introspection about it, so you can yourself decide yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
Like get more information. That's why I usually use the tarot towards like to get more information.
Yeah.
More insight.
Right. I think it's hard. Yeah. I actually agree. I think tarot is like a introspective thing. I also think that it's like an entire spiritual, philosophical teaching system, but that's just my 2 cents. But for me, this is a yes card. It could be debated, especially with the etymology and the definition behind judgment and like everything that's attached to it. But the symbols itself suggest yes. Like if we were to take out the word judgment, to me, everything else in the card is like, yes, do it. But if we were to add the word judgment, it could be a no. So,
It could be like discernment too.
oh, why do you say that?
That when you're discerning whether or not something, you can, instead of judging something, you can discern whether it's to your advantage or not to your advantage. So without judging, it's a more neutral way of evaluating.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just saying, if you replace the word judgment with discernment, might be, I kind of know like what you were saying. I think,
Yeah, this card for sure has to do with information. You can't make a judgment without information. You can, but it might be biased. You never know. Or limiting.
Would be weighing up everything. He's very careful. He's process, weigh everything up. Because it's a major arcana.
Yeah.
If a major arcana pops up.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Getting back to the Wheel of Fortune too, because we have the X and the X, there's clearly like influence of the Wheel of Fortune, this card. The Wheel of Fortune is assigned to wealth and poverty.
Also, are you aware of everything? All of these are sometimes judgment can be kind
That's so true. One last thing about judgment. And I think I've asked you this question before, maybe some other people. A lot of people feel that like justice is unfair because of the way that our system is set up here in the United States. But it's actually not justice that's unfair. It's the judgments that come from it. And so I want you guys to kind of mull that over for a bit and think about that. All right. We good? All right, we left on a heavy note, but that's okay. All right. So we're gonna take like a minute or two if anybody needs to use the restroom. It's the time. And then we're gonna do a meditation once everybody's back.